keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Let's try supremacist. Ain't gonna let no supremacist turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no supremacist turn me around. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Injustice ain't gonna let no injustice turn me around, turn me around, yeah, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no injustice turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. How about fear? Ain't gonna let no fear turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no fear turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Nobody ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. One more time. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Thank you all. Love seeing you singing along.
Joyous, thank you. Please, y'all, if you can just beam your love and energy to our beloved Joyous. Yes, we did indeed need this today, family. Such a gift. Thank you, Joyous. And that song, I think, is also such a deep reminder of the shoulders that we stand on as we continue in the struggle for our collective freedom in these incredibly volatile times that are filled with despair and complexity and challenge, but also filled with possibility. So deep bow of gratitude, Joyous. So y'all, I want to just add my voice to the welcome as well. My name is Shireen Badawi, and it's such a deep privilege to be a co-host of this event and our preparation before, just having the folks who are going to be a part of it in the same room. I felt just the balm already in our 10 minutes together. So I'm incredibly grateful that everyone who's here is going to receive some of that medicine and narrative today of the moment that we are collectively inside of. And I want to just take a moment to tell folks a little bit about Thrive East Bay and frame up this moment, because it is, a moment, a season like none I've ever seen in my decades of life on this planet. We are amid a looming constitutional crisis with our president's basic health in the balance right now. We just saw the messiest and most disturbing debate that it's literally challenged the institution of debates for folks who were able to watch that earlier this week. Many of us are still grieving the loss of our beloved Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was a deep stand for justice, for equity. The fatigue from pandemic lockdowns, if anybody's feeling like I am, it's like we're ready for the other side. We're ready to return to normal, although we know that normal was never good enough for most of us, and in particular for the most marginalized among us. We don't want to return to that normal. And so what does it mean in this moment? And add to all of this the incredible uprisings for racial justice, this profound moment of energy that some people are calling the third Reconstruction, right? This deep time of pivot, transition, potential, the loss of Black bodies at the center of the conversation, the verdict on Breonna Taylor that resulted in even more despair, recognizing that our justice system is not just. If this is legal, then there's something fundamentally broken about our system of justice. And then add to this, for those of us who are in California, many of us cannot breathe. We cannot walk outside our house. You know, it's a trying time. I will say for me, what has been a source of deep hope and inspiration has been coming through our artists and musicians like beloved Joyous, like YaNi, like KJ, like the choir, and also the work of legendary activists. Ben McBride has been at the forefront of peacemaking and radical social change for decades. And we are incredibly, incredibly blessed to have a window into his time and a window into what he's up to in the world, helping us figure out how we can meaningfully engage, because we are at a precipice and each of us has an opportunity to shape the future that we're living into. So welcome. And with that, we are here for some Civic Heat conversation. We're less than a month away from perhaps the most important election of our lifetime, of this nation's life, of our planet, when you think about all of the things that are at risk right now. And we need to be bringing on the heat. And that's Thrive's role. I want to just say I've been blessed to be a part of Thrive from the very beginning, when it started in our living room. And one of the things that we aspire to do is create spaces to come together in beloved community, to support our thriving as individuals and collectively, to choose love, because we recognize that perpetuating othering and fear does not actually bring forth the world that our hearts are longing for. What does love look like in action? YaNi and Ben are such powerful examples of that. Shared learning and practice. How can we continue recognizing there's not a destination? We're bringing together our disparate and ever evolving truths and practicing together. And then finally, our stand for systemic change, recognizing that none of us can be free unless all of us are free. And that's what we're here to explore and talk about today. And with that, I am going to pass it to my beloved co-host Sunshine Michelle to introduce our first guest artist.
The baton is lovingly received, and might I say that this is an inaugural time for Shireen and I to be co-hosting. We've not done that yet. So I'm so honored, sister, to play and dance with you in this field of infinite possibility. The other thing I want to say before I bring on our dear, sweet YaNi is that in our team meetup before y'all came on, we prayed us up. We prayed you up. So I just want you to breathe into that I spoke the word about the divine umbilical cord that we are all connected into. I want y'all to know that, and let, with every breath, breathe into that everything we need, everything we want, our heart's desire is coming through that divine umbilical cord. We're breathing into something new. We're here to co-create. And I believe that this community right here and beyond, it vibrates out into the great healing that we all so desire. So hold on to your faith. I know it's hard for me too. I'm saying hold on to every, they say, as small as a mustard seed. That faith, hold on to it and breathe into that, because it expands just like the trees do in Mother Gaia's forest. So don't give a preacher a mic, because you know she'll take it and run away with it, right? So I'm censoring myself. I just wanted to tell you that so that you know the grounding that we are operating from. This is our foundation that we're building today, from before we started until after we finish. So how's that? I love the heart, Duncan. Thank you for that. Okay, so it is my distinct honor and pleasure to be able to introduce Sister YaNi for several reasons. Let me just read a little bit about her bio, and I'll tell you why it's especially poignant for me. YaNi Davis is the founder of the Peace Peoples Movement and hopes to continue impacting the world with spirit-filled messages of freedom, love, liberation, communalism, and peace. That's what I'm here for. YaNi has been a featured speaker, preacher, poet, teacher, artist around the United States, throughout Europe and Asia. How's that for globalness? She has shared the stage with top performers, theologians, creatives, and influencers around the world, an honor that she does not take lightly at all, including with Thrive. YaNi currently resides in Los Angeles. However, she continues to call Atlanta, Georgia, and Queens, New York her home. She's a humble vessel, a scholar, a seer, a steward, and a heart for all people. YaNi is the essence of peace personified. I love that. And continues to exude authentic qualities of what it means to be this generation's griot and storyteller. She's the founder of My Supernatural Life, which helps provide holistic and communal care for those moving through life's challenges. And I understand we're going to be seeing something fresh and hot off the press from her today. And one more word before I bring her on. Let me tell you why it's so special for me and YaNi. Is because when I saw her last, she was spouting off some of her beautiful poetry, which reminded me of a poetry piece that I have, and I'm not even a poet, and I shared it with her, and we had that kindred connection. Not have, excuse me. So it is my distinct honor, joy, and pleasure to bring on YaNi. Let's give her some snaps. Snaps in the house.
Thank you, Rev. Uh-oh, they put the Revs back to back. Uh-oh, something's happening here. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you, Thrive, for being my family. I remember headed over to Shireen and Joshua's house, just excited, ready to sing, ready to just embrace the community, embrace family. It was a very lonely time for me when I was up in the Bay, matriculating through seminary. But when I tell you Thrive East Bay was my home, y'all were my home. And then when we got a little location, and then we're up in the location looking out the window over Oakland, and the band Thrive East Bay Choir backing me up, and we singing, and Thrive, I love you, I love you, I love you. Thank you so much for this invitation. First, I have to honor the Davises. If y'all see a screen that says Davis, that is my mother and my father, Reverend Dr. Edward Davis, bringing you greetings. His church is the Presbyterian Church of St. Albans, and I am also a pastor and the founder of My Supernatural Life, the Peace People's Movement, and also Suluhu, which is a womanist ministry. Suluhu in Kiswahili means peace and reconciliation. Family, I'm a kidney transplant survivor. The fact that I am alive today, I do not take this moment lightly. The fact that I am alive today to see this very moment means something to me, and I'm going to pour as much love and inspiration and light and goodness and joy into all of you as I possibly can as we outstretch our hands to one another and love on one another and hug one another in this insulated room versus this isolated room. Now, I'm the founder also of Rise Community Church in Atlanta, Georgia, which is an Afrocentric Christian ministry. And so I've got to start this the way that I know how, with libation. African descended people come from a rich heritage of healers, leaders, educators, artists, inventors, abolitionists, and world changers. Libation is a time to uplift their names and recall their contributions to the global village. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ashe. Coretta Scott King, Ashe. Harriet Tubman, Ashe. Sojourner Truth, Ashe. Maya Angelou, Ashe. Nelson Mandela, Ashe. Nat Turner, Ashe. Jarena Lee, Ashe. Malcolm X, Ashe. Shirley Chisholm, Ashe. C.T. Vivian, Ashe. Elijah Cummings, Ashe. My granddaddy, Bishop Charles Fubler, Ashe. We honor you, we lift you up, Great Spirit, Supreme One, you are it, and we thank you for getting us from this moment to the next. We don't want no new normal. We want new transformation. We want new ascension. We want new revitalization. We want new reconfiguration. We want rebirth. We want resurrection. And so, family, we're going to start this like this. So if we were all together, when I say peace, everybody say love, peace, love, peace, love. So when I say peace, everybody say love, peace, peace. Listen, all I can talk about is goodness and grace. That's my grandmother's name, the one I never could replace. So I fill in the space with the words that were written for the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Jews, Muslims, and the Christians. Atheist, agnostic, lover of life. I got a message in a bottle, came to shore one night. I'm so sure of the love that I have in my heart that when I open up my mouth, know I'm doing my part. Religion is a sentiment. We try to set a precedent on how to live it good existence, but I'm just persistent. It's matter of factly, I know it's gotta be all the love overflowing from inside of we. Cause they tell us that we're ugly and they shoot us in the head. Even if we're physically here, we're walking with the dead. And they're keeping all the secrets on how to get the money. So here we are acting funny like bees to some honey. Following the footsteps of the ones who rose again is to recognize you're great, to love your closest friends. Some of you will learn to live without condition or restraint. Some of us will be the canvas while others will be the paint. Masterfully and wondrously, it's a brush that's called hope. A canvas brand new, and it's time for us to float. Culture and community, I'm giving you immunity from the pain and the sorrow given to you inhumanly. Inhumanely, they forced it down your throat. They threw you in the water, said it's time for you to soak. Well, I don't like the remedy. The message that they're sending me will be returned to sender. They're named the great pretenders. I'm better than their images. I know just who I am. The work I'm putting in isn't visible in my hands. Can't find it in a paper. It's not written in a chart. It's in the work we do daily, and it's shining from our hearts. So when I say peace, everybody say love, peace. Peace. So when I say peace in your living room, say love, peace, love, peace. So when I say peace in your bedroom, say love, peace, peace. So when I say peace from the dining room, say love, peace,
Love.
Hey, I heard someone unmute just now. Clap it up for yourself. Snap it up, y'all. Hug yourself. Give yourself some love. Give the person next to you a high five.
Do you want to come off mute and just one quick shout out before we go back on to mute?
Please.
Yeah.
The spirit is everywhere. The spirit is everywhere, uniting us. We are all one. We are all one. We are all one, no matter where we are in the world. So feels good to be here. Feels good to just see your faces. I've been needing to see some faces, y'all. I've been needing to see some folks smiling and laughing and feeling good. So thank you for being in community with Thrive and all of us today. So, last week was rough. Recognizing that as a Black person, even as a Black woman, there's no justice here in this country for us. Thinking about the verdict that came forth as it related to Breonna Taylor, it was disheartening. It was discouraging. Felt like a defeat. Felt like I'm not welcomed here, right? To think that my apartment door could get bust in and I could be shot and killed, and literally the walls, the concrete cement walls, get more justice than I do. And so I had to write something in honor of Breonna so that I could rid myself of the anger and the hate and the trauma in my body, because we got to release it, y'all. And this is one way we release it, by coming together and being reminded that we got to lead the people in love. Thank you, Daddy, for that. We got to lead the people in love. And so this piece is entitled What's in a Name, Part 1, Bree. And at the end, I make mention of Tamika. Breonna's mother's name is Tamika Palmer. And then also, as we think about our great leader, justice leader, Tamika Mallory, who's doing the work, let's think of the power in names, the power in names, the power in your name. Okay, what's in a name, Part 1, Bree. I wonder if the family called her Bree Bree growing up. Not to diminish the meaning of her name, but to let her know she was kin. Black communities thrive when we can hold our truths within. We love unconditionally. We express ourselves artistically. If we speak in Black aesthetic, respect our skin visually. I wonder what Breonna did for fun. What music did she listen to as she put her uniform on each morning, not knowing that her beautiful Black don't mix well with them blues, knowing that blues don't like our hues, not knowing that blues don't find them clues, knowing that blues just bring Black bruise. She was the grace and love and everything in this living land. Young ancestor, in your name, we take a stand. We will not let you down. When your flesh hit that ground, your spirit arose in all of us. You still arose, bringing beauty, brilliance, and remembrance each time your face graces us. Strong, noble, and virtuous, high and exalted. Wow, Mama knew what to call you. I wonder what Brianna's spirit is doing now. Is she floating amongst cumulus clouds or heavenly hovering over her headquarters, where siblings, brothers, and daughters rally in her name? Also meaning pretty and strong. I guess the family did call you Bree. I just saw the letters living forever on a t-shirt that Tamika has on. And so as we remember the legacy and the life of Bree, as we remember the life and legacy of George Floyd, as we remember the life and legacy of all those that have gone before us as freedom fighters, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Sojourner Truth, as we think about them, let's remember the power, the importance, and the brilliance of Black lives. Knowing that Black lives don't just matter, Black lives are essential to our community, essential to our collective wholeness, and essential to our collective thriving. So as I thought about that at the top of the pandemic, right? Before our great uprising started happening, Spirit gave me this song late at night. And I remember when I was sick and on dialysis for 12 hours at night, my edema in my feet swollen to this size, neuropathy all throughout my body, sludge in my spleen, ribs popped out in my back. Don't know how that happened. Tubes coming out of my body connected to a machine 12 hours a day to make sure I stayed alive. Thank you, Mama, for being there with me for those 3 years. I thought about what it meant to walk again. I thought about what it meant to get my strength again. I thought about how family and my tribe helped to see me through. And so, Duncan, I'm wondering if we could cue up a little something. And so about 2 weeks ago, y'all, I dropped a music video for a song called Freedom Land. Freedom Land, FREED''EM, land. Because I think about all of us getting to this place of wholeness and oneness and unity, not a new normal, a new earth. A revisioning and a reimagining of what it means to be like Thrive all throughout the world. And so Freedom Land is dedicated to all of y'all. I pray that, you go find it on YouTube and share it with a friend. I'm just trying to lead us to Freedom Land, y'all. So please enjoy. Please enjoy, and I pray it blesses you. Duncan, can you unmute yourself?
Hey, Duncan, we can't hear the sound, brother. Could start it again. Thank you.
And loving it so far, YaNi.
Thank you so much. Duncan, can you go ahead and unmute yourself? We won't be able to.
It's YaNi. Just trying to lead my people to freedom, trying to show my folks the light, cause we gonna be alright. Yeah. Sending people signal warnings. Groundhog Day is every morning. Quarantine and lockdown keeping me from my performance on the block. It starts to storm and impact so enormous. All the future generations, what it is. Like, is it people? Is it profit? Is it benefiting us? Green from the earth or in the green that we trust? I'm a lust after the future, cause my presence is a present. Afrofuturistic gifting, and they wondering who sent it.
Walking the freedom line, family to hold my hand. If I don't make it through the night, I keep walking till I see the light. I'm walking the freedom land, tribe gonna hold my hand. If I don't make it through the night, I keep walking till I see the light.
She's the most high living, just the most high God. Running through the wilderness, the most high Yon. 40 days and 40 nights, 40 lines, 40 rights. Quick, whoop, whoop, come and start to running for your life. Faithful to the end, to go, is it coming? California, Tokyo, I'm in your hood eating ramen. Cause we took the mission local, now we take the district global. Take the power back, something like Constantinople. What? Displaced children of Africa. Azita, spirit, spirit, spirit coming after ya. Pause, stop, come, go, see, we had enough. Justice, justice in the diaspora. Walking into the light. Family don't hold me tight. If I don't make it through the night, I keep walking, walking, walking till I see the light. I'm walking in freedom line. My tribe's gonna hold my hand. If I don't make it through the night, I keep walking, walking, walking till I see the light. I keep walking, walking, walking till I see the light. I keep walking, walking, walking till I see the light. I keep walking, walking, walking till I see the light. Keep walking, walking, walking till I see the light. Keep walking, walking till I see it. We are the displaced children of Africa, and they're asking us to moan less. I own this black body, the awareness that my hair communicates with the sun. Each nap, wrapped ever so intricately, lets me know that I am the one to use my voice and then rejoice. Makes me wanna holler, makes me wanna shout. I am the Holy Spirit in flesh, sent to cast the demons out. I am the savior of my people, the embodiment of all. These crucifix lips rise again every time I show my people how to ascend. This frame ain't looking for fame, just a broken heart that I can mend. You are the big brother, you are the big sister, you are the big sibling I have always prayed for and I stayed for. So next lifetime, this divine feminine lesson will help you to rise again. Can I get an amen? Ha ha ha. Amen.
Amen.
Family, I just want to shout out the visual artist, my creative director, Scribbles, who's on the call. So Scribbles, thank you so much for all your effort and your hard work. You are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So family, that's my time. I just want to leave y'all with this. Let's keep walking in freedom land. Let's keep being free, and let's keep loving each other. So if it's over when I say it is, then here's the line. Everybody get hyped just one last time. Rewind, repeat, just play it again. So let it be in this place, and I'm saying amen. Nothing good lasts forever, but I'll be back like a good hair weave. But I got more tracks, song after song. I'll be gone not long in the pad, and I'm coming back strong. Hit them hard, let them know. Bring it live at a show. Keep it right, keep it tight. Just let YaNi flow. Give me love, give it back as we fade into black. The grand finale and the magical act. Stand up. So please remember, the preacher's daughter is gone till November. Stop, play, a point of closure. It's all said and done. My time is over. So when I say peace, everybody say love, peace, love, peace, love. So when I say peace, everybody say love, peace, love, peace, love. Let's keep in touch, y'all. YaNi means peace on IG. whoisyani.com. All my love, all my love, all my love.
YaNi, baby, we love you. Oh my goodness, your consciousness, your artistry, the video is so, whatever the current word is, you know, my son would be able to tell me, and you were awesome. We love you. Snap, snap, support YaNi, please. And now I'm turning it over to my sister Shireen, because y'all in for a treat with Reverend Ben.
Thank you, Sunshine Michelle, and thank you, YaNi. I feel altered in the wake of your medicine. Truly, I feel moved, my heart open, and I feel possibility. I feel possibility, coupled with sadness, but inside it, it's the sadness of love. So, deep, deep bow. Thank you. It just occurred to me that we have 3 reverends on this call, with Reverend Sunshine Michelle, Reverend YaNi Davis, and Reverend Ben McBride. Amazing. We got the force of spirit with us today. So y'all, it is my unbelievable privilege and honor to get to introduce our next speaker, Ben McBride. Ben has been a guest speaker, as has YaNi, at Thrive before. And when I heard Ben, I was just like, I will follow this man anywhere. I will follow him anywhere. He spoke to my heart. He spoke to my mind. He spoke to a truth that is bigger and beyond me. And I, especially in these times of transition and collapse, I am so hungry for people to help us make meaning out of these times and help point us to the action necessary to bring us through the canal, the birth canal. And I think Ben is one of those leaders. A little bit more of his bio, which Duncan will also put in the chat, but I'll just share with y'all some high levels so you know who is upon you. Ben McBride is a native of the Bay of San Francisco. He's a spiritual leader, longtime activist in service of peace and justice. In 2008, he moved to Oakland, to a neighborhood that was known as the Kill Zone, to more deeply understand and respond to the epidemic of gun violence. And since he moved there, he was instrumental in relaunching Oakland's Operation Ceasefire, which very significantly contributed to a 50% reduction in homicides in that neighborhood over 5 years. In addition to peace building, Ben is an expert at belonging, and he serves as a leader in helping us rethink public safety systems and gun violence prevention. Right now, he's a co-director of PICO, which is one of the largest grassroots community organizations in California, representing almost 500,000 people across more than 70 cities. More recently, I believe in the wake of George Floyd's killing, Ben founded the Bring the Heat campaign, which we'll put a link to in the chat as well. It's an incredibly inspiring platform, important platform to address police brutality and police violence, and really charts a tangible path forward for us to move to more sanity in our criminal justice system. Ben, in addition to all these roles, is perhaps most importantly a papa of 3 beautiful daughters. He and his wife and girls live in Oakland. And today, Ben shared that he's going to offer up some framing for understanding these unprecedented times and embracing the new birth in this moment of transition. So with that, is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you, Ben, to Thrive East Bay. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your yes, and for your work, and for your heart, and for your genius.
Yo, what's up? It's good to be back in the space with the Thrive fam. And I was very well comfortable just continuing to rock with YaNi. I was like, I don't need to say nothing. YaNi's got to have another 30, 40 minutes. I was about to keep sipping my water and just keep taking in all of that good, wonderful spiritual medicine and the beautiful art and the power of your words and your spirit. So deep gratitude. To you, my sister, my relative, my sibling. It's good to be back here in the space with all of us, and you know, I mean, I want to invite us just, you know, before I get started, to just take a moment. You can close your eyes if that makes you feel comfortable. If you want to keep your eyes open, but let's just take a moment to find some stillness, a moment to remember that the spirit that guides us all is greater than the chaos of this moment. Take a moment to remember that we are loved and we still have the capacity to give love. Let's take a moment in this stillness to remember that even if we could not produce another thing, we still are so valuable. Let's take another moment in the stillness to remember that although we are sheltered in place in many different ways, that we are still radically interconnected. Amen. You know, it's good to be back here in the space with us all and thinking about this moment. I welcome you back as you feel led to come back. As I was thinking about in this moment, what would be the right words to bring to such a spiritually connected community and tribe like Thrive? You know, when I got a chance to hang out with y'all last year, I felt very much so what some of the words were saying earlier in our time today, that thrive is the future. That thrive represents a lot of the potential of where it is that we need to go as a people, not just here in the Bay, not just here in the States, but around this world. That we've got to find a different way of being. We've got to find the different kind of doing. We've got to find a different way to become and to be the collective tribe that we are. And yet in this moment, what I've been thinking about is, what is it that we need to be doing? You know, last year when I was with you all, I talked a lot about the need for us to become. That the right first question is not what do we need to do? The right first question is who do we need to become? But I've been reminding people over the last several months that my invitation for us to become was not an invitation for us to not do, but rather it was about prioritization. But it feels to me that in this moment is giving us a lot of invitation to do. When we think about 2020 and we think about all that has happened, COVID-19 and a global pandemic that has rocked literally the world off of its axis. I think it's something, you know, some of y'all who know me know I come from the Pentecostal tradition. That's both good and bad because, you know, as Pentecostals, we see something in everything, even if ain't nothing there. But, you know, I grew up in that church where we were swinging from the chandeliers and rolling underneath the benches, and spirit was moving us. If it wasn't spirit, then the usher was, but something was moving you. And I would say that as I think about COVID-19 and the pandemic, I think about the reality that what has stopped the world has literally been an attack on our respiratory system. It has been an attack on our ability to breathe, on our ability to take in the oxygen and to breathe out the carbon. That COVID-19 got inside our lungs and stopped our ability to do what we have naturally been created to do. And I've wondered if COVID-19 is also a symptom of a deeper spiritual problem, that we had begun to lose our ability to be natural, to be as we were made to be. And so that disruption has happened, and it's knocked us off our axis. We had to begin to shelter in place. We had to begin to quarantine ourselves from one another and from the elements. And then we began to experience here in this country a spiritual awakening. Again, it took the crucifixion of darker bodies in front of us to get us to some resurrected consciousness, to remember that Black lives, not only do they matter, but as YaNi said, they are essential, and that we were going to need to turn our eyes into the way in which we had lost our ability to hold on to one another, to find that resurrected consciousness so that it could move us out of the fear of being locked up, not just in our physical homes, but in our spiritual homes, in our mental homes, in our emotional homes. We needed a jolt that would move us back into the streets to declare that we know we are better than this. And yet in the middle of all of this that we have been pushing and struggling with, we've been having to do so while resisting Trumpian imperialism. We've been having to resist a material kind of evil that is not metaphoric, but a material kind of evil that has metastasized itself into the culture of our society. And so it brings us to the question, what is it that we need to do? You know, I've been saying for some time that if we try to respond to a spiritual problem with only a political, if we try to respond, to a spiritual condition with only a political solution, we will come up short. But I believe that the emergence of the spiritual awakening that happened after the crucifixion of Sister Breonna and Brother George Floyd, that awakening has begun to happen inside of us. But now there is the need for us to recognize the importance of our political responsibility and our civic action. You know, for some years, myself, when we came out of Ferguson, we came out of that awakening that happened with the crucifixion of Michael Brown. And there was a question that came upon us when we were on the streets of Ferguson as spiritual people. And one of my colleagues asked us the question, are we called to be chaplains of a failing empire, or are we called to be prophets of a righteous resistance? I think there's a very interesting question that we must sit in. Are we called to be chaplains of a failing empire? Meaning, are we called to try to hold up something that actually may need to die? Or are we called to be prophets of a righteous resistance? Prophets who are both speaking truth to power about the moment, and prophets who are also foretelling of a time that is coming. And who is it? What is that action that we need to begin to do? And you know, for a few years, I lived in that binary of chaplains versus prophets, and knowing that the imperial structure over the last 400 years was not enough to save us from this moment. I knew within myself that I did not want to pull down the pharaoh of this moment only to become the new one, but rather I wanted to imagine and live in a world that has no pharaohs. I wanted to live in a land where we were seeking promised land. I'd rather live in a land where I'm living off manna and getting water out of a rock than live up under the oppressive structures of empire or be the one who wields the whip. I didn't want to be a chaplain of that. I wanted to be a prophet. But then I stood in New York a couple years ago and I was talking about chaplains versus prophets, and a Ugandan brother came up to me who survived some of the challenges and the pains of their struggle in Uganda. And he came up to me and he said, "Dear brother, I think you have missed an invitation, because I don't think it's just chaplains of a failing empire or prophets of a righteous resistance. I think we are called to be midwives." I said, "Say more, brother." He said, "We are called to be midwives to the beloved community." And so I want to talk to us just for a couple moments about midwives. See, I love the idea of a midwife because it's moving us away from the masculine and more into the feminine. Because I believe if we're going to actually survive this moment, and if we're going to participate with giving birth into something new, there is a divine spiritual move away from the historically understood European ideal of the masculine, and an invitation into the West African indigenous framing of the feminine, that the Spirit is inviting us away from the warrior and away from the fighter into the role of the midwife.
Ashe.
A midwife who steps in not as one to create the life, but one to come alongside the carrier. That the midwife who is trained to recognize what is happening in that moment of pregnancy. The midwife who in terms has at times understood what it means to carry life, but understands one's role is there to come alongside the pregnant. The midwife is the one who holds the hand of the one who's in pain. The midwife is the one who assures the one who is stressed out that there is hope on the other side. The midwife who understands what is happening. The midwife is there to serve the process of new life coming into the world. And so I want to say to us that our action in this moment is called to be midwives. That we're called to actually come alongside the pregnancy of our moment, the pregnancy of us as a collective people, and help give birth to a new moment for each other. Now, you see, just as our sister Valerie Carr says, she says that maybe, she said this after the election of Donald Trump, that maybe the darkness of this moment is not the darkness of a tomb, but rather the darkness of a womb. And maybe in the midst of all of this chaos is actually the birthing of something brand new. Could it be that in this moment, the very thing that's happening is the thing that we've been praying for? It's the thing that we've been longing for. It's the thing that made y'all come together and form Thrive. It's the thing that forced me into East Oakland with the loved ones who had pistols in their pockets. It's this something on the inside. There's life in the middle of it. There's some new constructing coming together. But in order for that to happen, I done preached the book off my shelf. In order for that to happen, and literally the name of that book said, "This is an uprising." In order for that to happen, we are going to have to move into action. Midwives recognize that new life is coming, so they support the deconstruction of the current dynamic. You see, when that baby is in the womb, as I watched my wife give birth to our 3 daughters, I recognized that the world that that baby had come to know was deconstructing around it. The placenta that that baby sat inside broke open. The world as it knew it began to spill out from all around it. And that baby began to go through a journey, through a birth canal, seeing light at the end of its tunnel to reemerge as something different than what it understood itself to be. Well, I'm here to tell you that I believe that what is happening in this moment is that the systems and the structure and the society, not just grounded here in this country, but the way in which white supremacy and whiteness and the terrorism that came out of that part of Europe during that time that has went and diseased the world, that it is actually coming to an end, and that there is a new way of human beings being together, a new way of treating one another, a new way of treating the planet that is coming into fruition. So what does it mean for us to come alongside that work? I believe that if we are going to come alongside that work, it is going to call on us to organize. It is going to call on us to be found in the middle of the messiness. It is going to call on us to put our hands and our feet, our hearts and our minds into action so that we can help bring about the world. Not because we have all the answers, but actually because we do not. You know, one of the lines I love is that an organized lie, it will always be more powerful than disorganized truth. An organized lie will always be more powerful than disorganized truth. So this is why we've got to organize the truth. We've got to come together across our difference. We're going to have to build bridges across difference. And right now, the disease that is in the land might actually keep us from being able to build bridges with many of our relatives who right now find themselves on the side of toxicity, wearing red hats, spewing out hatred and violence against others. But we can find ways to bridge with one another. We can find ways to bridge and come to each other with difference. We can find ways to get active in the movement. But I think one of the things that is very important as we come on this journey, that we must recognize that one of the most powerful things, and I said this to you all last year, one of the most powerful things we must do in this moment is to not become imperial ourselves. You know, Dr. King said, that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. In this moment, I believe that we must push ourselves into public, online, and private space like we never have before. And we must work to deconstruct this system and these structures in the way that we've been built. I do not believe that it is our call to continue to try to hold together a capitalistic system that seeks to extract the life and the embodiment out of people and out of communities and out of the land. It is not our job to try to protect and preserve police departments that continue to destroy the lives of Black and brown and trans relatives across this country. It is not our job to preserve these structures, but it is our job through our organizing, through our voting, through our conversations to deconstruct this existing system. And as we do that, we will begin to reconstruct a new world that is worthy of us all, a new society that is worthy of us all. But people ask me, well, Ben, where do we start? We start by coming together. We don't start because we have the solutions. We start because we have the shared analysis that something is deeply wrong, but we are having a spiritual awakening that says it is time for us to get to work. It is time for us to come alongside the new life that is coming forth. It is time for us to follow Black women who have inside of them wisdom, the deep analysis, and the spiritual anointing to invite us forward into this moment that we have. It is time for us to undo the way that patriarchy has led us and undo the way that violence has led us and to stand ourselves in a different place. It is time for us to not just trade seats out of the chairs, but to get rid of the chairs and to allow the divine feminine to lead us into the new tomorrow. And I think in order for us to do that, one of the most important things that we're going to have to do in order to hold on to that is we're going to have to teach ourselves how to sacrifice our privilege. Because privilege causes us to ask the wrong question in moments. What about me? What role do I have? What place will I have? If I give up my place to someone else and they leave, will I be okay? Will I have what I need if I don't fight for it in the way that capitalism has taught us to fight? But I believe if we allow love to lead us, if we recognize that the Spirit is leading us, then we've got to trust and we've got to give ourselves over and we've got to use the privilege that we have in service to where it is we want to go. And that's why I've been saying to folks in a democracy that in this moment, the right action is not to vote your own interests, but rather to vote the interests of those most marginalized around you. When we go to vote in the ballot, vote for Black women, vote for our trans relatives, vote for the unhoused, vote for the incarcerated, vote for the poor, vote for those diseased by COVID-19, vote for those who are marginalized, vote for the immigrant, vote for the Muslim, vote for those who are most marginalized around us, vote for Black people. Because when we will take our vote, and we will leverage it for the purpose of transforming the world. When we will choose to take the power out of our hand and put it in the hands of someone else to allow those folks to guide us, I believe we will find ourselves in a safer place. We are called to be midwives. As our world is deconstructing around us, I believe we must actually have hope, recognizing that the world we have been in is coming to an end. But in the words of John the Revelator from the Christian scriptures, behold, I see a new heaven and a new earth. For the old heaven and the old earth has passed away. And I believe we are in a moment for a new heaven and a new earth coming upon us. And so let us give ourselves over, not only to be prophets of a righteous resistance, but to be midwives to belonging. Midwives to the beloved community. And I would say this as I close my comments, that in the history of our journey, getting to the place of new awakening, of resurrection, will at times be at cost for some of us. I want to think back to the story borrowing from the Jewish scriptures and the Hebrew Bible, where you have the story of, I like to call them their Hebrew names, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. You know, oftentimes we refer to them in the English translated scriptures, they're referred to as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or in the Black church, we used to call them a bad Negro. But, you know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But I don't call them by those names all the time because that's the names that the Babylonians gave them. They pulled them from their homeland and they renamed them. They named them in their own culture. And they found themselves in a moment like the one we find ourselves in, a strange moment where empire had raised up an imperial statue. And it told them all that if you do not bow down to the statue, if you do not bow down to the image of empire, you will be thrown into the fiery furnace to your death. But Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah said, we will not bow down to the image of empire. And they said that if our God, they said, our God is able to deliver us, but even if our God does not, we will still not bow down to your graven image. I want to say to us that regardless as to what happens on November 3rd, we are hoping that we get out and vote like we've never voted before to move this white supremacist out of the White House. But we know that even if he moves out of the White House, Trumpism and white supremacy and the function of empire may not necessarily leave. Let us be like those 3 Hebrew boys that said, even in the face of empire, we refuse to bow down to white supremacy. We refuse to bow down to imperialism. Because in that story, even when they took them and threw them into the fiery furnace, the story says that there appeared the image of one. There appeared the image of one who took the heat out of the fire and preserved their lives. Family, I'm telling you, let us commit ourselves to being midwives. Let us bring into our moment the world as it should be. And may the God of peace, may the spirit of love, may the power of our ancestors guide us into creating the world of belonging. God bless you. I love you. Let's stay in this fight together.
Ooh, we need to come off mute and give Reverend Ben some love, y'all.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That was so awesome, Ben.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yes.
Woo. Uplifted.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Reverend Ben, thank you for bringing the heat to us, for bringing your heart, your truth, your wisdom. Can we maybe take a collective few breaths and just allow Ben's telling his power to infuse our cells and heart so we can actually integrate it in a way that will mobilize us? Let's take a breath. Brother McBride, Brother Ben, you weave together so many core pieces. And I think for me, one of the things that I'm most struck with in hearing you talk in this moment is how you combine the thread of our spiritual condition and our political imperative right now. And we can't separate these. I want to open up the space for folks to share their insights, reflections, and questions to both YaNi and Ben. Now is the moment. We have 15-ish minutes. So encourage y'all to come off the mic and feel free to chime in, or also feel free to use the chat. I want to start with a question to you, Ben. I'm thinking about your call to bridge and just the deep wisdom about we have to be embodying love to call forth justice, recognizing how painful it is to confront white supremacy and patriarchy. I wonder if you have any stories of bridging where you had to stretch in the face of that kind of hatred or asleepness, just like somebody with a very different worldview or consciousness than you. Can you give us a sense of how you do that? And there's the how, and also if you have an actual story, that would be super welcome too.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give one that is more about some of the journey that I had to make, and one that's less as extreme, so that we could also think about what are the ways that we might be able to access some of this. I have not been a historical abolitionist. I have said over the course of time that I've told folks, I just have not had the imagination to be able to think about abolition in that way. And I've been a reformist in times past. And one of the things that I had to recognize in this moment over the last few months was that many Black women had been at the forefront of the abolitionist movement, calling for the defunding of the police and really calling for a new imaginative way of how we needed to think about going forth in the future. And so over the last few months, even as I was beginning to scale up some of my responses to think about how we could transform public safety, I had this moment where one of the sisters told me, she said, "Ben, you're not imagining big enough." And in that moment, the patriarchy that I'm still trying to deconstruct inside myself became defensive. And I was like, she's attacking what it is that I'm trying to do. And what I'm trying to do is just not what she's trying to do. And why is she coming at? And I had to challenge myself in that moment to say, this is actually an opportunity for you to bridge across this difference. This Black woman has lived at a deeper intersection of the impact of this system than you have. And so what you have got to do is actually challenge yourself to follow her leadership, not because you agree or even because you understand, but because you are listening to the deep invitation of what this moment is about. And so what I want to invite us, sometimes when we think about bridging, we always think about the person who's super far away from us. But that was a story where I had to bridge by learning how to follow a Black woman in this moment over the last few months, and then to reframe and reconstruct my whole platform in a way that was following the leadership of sisters like Dr. Melina Abdullah down in LA, and sisters like Kat Brooks and others who I've already been in relationship with, but I had to go beyond being in relationship and move towards following. And so that's a story about bridging that I want to offer. It's not just about how do I learn how to say the right thing, but how do I learn how to actually shift my behavior and then shift my platform.
Wow, thank you for the vulnerability and humility in that. Deep, deep gratitude. And it's so powerful to actually share the stories because we see what's possible there. Mutima, the mic is yours, my sister. And you need to come off mute.
All right, thank you. I wanted to say that it is a time to begin to understand something fundamental about Black love, mother's love, Black women loving. And I want to campaign to let the world know we, as a Black woman, I'm speaking for my sisters, my queens, that we love our Black men and we love our Black children. And we understand that everybody else is a part of our family. And so we have this deep, deep love. And to follow love instead of hatred, to follow love instead of anxiety and fear, and come out of believing that we don't have to shift. It's such an important message right now. It's we're going to be all right. That's what YaNi said. We're going to be all right if we could just ground in love, and Black love is the place to ground in right now. So I welcome you all into understanding that there's this faith and this struggle and this history that Black people have survived. So follow us. We've survived. The human race has survived. So we can keep surviving if we don't go crazy. So thank you.
Thank you, Mutima. Thank you, Mutima. Reba, you're up next.
Hi, Reverend Ben. I am so privileged to be here with you, and I think that I may know your family from the way, and such an incredible leadership in your family. I wondered if you could let us know why you choose to use the words Hebrew Bible and Jewish scripture instead of Old Testament, because I can just tell you that I'm sitting here right now in my sukkah. I'm around the corner from your family's church at the Way, and I felt a kind of safety and belonging here in progressive space as a religious Jew that I don't always feel when I heard you use the words that we use for our scripture. And I wondered if you could talk about why you do that. And I just wanted to thank you for that inclusion, as well as your inclusion of our transgender community as well, which I know your family also talks about at the Way too. So thank you so much for your wisdom. And I am privileged to be in your company.
Well, I'm privileged to be with you all. I will say that I use that language out of being in relationship with people over the course of time and learning how to bridge. To me, bridging is about learning how not to actually engage with people based upon your situatedness, but actually to learn how people are inviting you to engage with them based upon their situatedness. And I will confess, I'm not trying to turn all y'all into my priests here before we leave, but I believe in telling the truth helps us find access. I was not always here. I was raised in a way to be very, in a lot of Christian hegemony I was raised in a way to be homophobic. I was raised in a way to actually embrace patriarchy rather than resist it. And so for me, my spiritual journey has been around what does it mean for me to rid myself of these toxins that were put into me by at times, very well-meaning people. But what does it mean for me to rid those toxins of myself, to get in relationships with loved ones who actually are helping me become the deeper, more human version of who I am, that and creates the space for more spirit. So I use the terms Hebrew and Jewish Bible because I step into the space with my Jewish relatives and speak and learn from your traditions out of your situatedness in the same ways that I'm trying to embody space with my trans relatives and learning how to hold space from their perspective. And my hope and belief is that if we can learn how to get in those rhythms, I believe that we'll create more space inside of us for real love, not tolerance, but real love to flow.
Powerful. I so appreciate the distinction between tolerance and real love to flow. And I think that nugget of wisdom, how do we orient our bridging to speak from a place of the person we're bridging to situatedness rather than our own, is so profound. I just think of a deep struggle in my own family system where, there are people in my extended family system that are down with Trump and how excruciatingly difficult it has been to talk to them. So I just appreciate that. There's a call to action for me there. YaNi, I would love to bring you into our collective conversation as well, and curious about any reactions you might have in the wake of hearing Ben's framing around being midwives to beloved community in this time. And also, I'm curious in these in-between times about your thoughts on the role of poetry, music, and art, or anything else you feel called to share.
For sure. So if I can start by speaking to what Reverend Ben was talking about in terms of Black women leading, in terms of my intersections, I'm a Black, queer, disabled a woman, right? And so these intersections alone are reasons for people to follow me and to come alongside me as midwives, as nurses, as doctors, as all of the things in terms of this new thing that we're birthing into the world. As I form my theology and my walk and my witness in the world in seminary, womanist theology was very important to me. Liberation theology, Black liberation theology, which allowed me to sink into my truth and my essence and my authenticity as a Black woman leader in the world, right? Learning to be empowered when the world says, no, be quiet. We don't want to hear from you right now. I'm also a young person, right? So there's ageism that comes into the space as well. And so in terms of womanist theology, functioning out of the tenets of radical subjectivity, where I center my experience and my life as a Black woman in my community, and also in terms of the redemptive self-dance. The redemptive self-dance where I reclaim my joy, where I reclaim my Black joy, where I reclaim my existence, where I reclaim, right, my truth and liberation and freedom. I don't want to be a strong Black woman anymore. I'm a Black woman that walks in my truth, my authority, and my power. So now as we think about words, John 1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. So if that is how all of this came into being in terms of words, we must honor and acknowledge the power of our words. In the same way Reverend Ben got us stirred up and ready to go out and ready to, that's the power of the word. That's the power of nomo, right? The regenerative word, the empowering word, the encouraging word, the uplifting word, the transformative word that we can tap into and use at any given time to shift our reality and shift our existence. Words have been my closest friend and my closest companion. My parents, they have writings from me when I was 6 years old talking about I'm going to Philly. I just might eat some chili. Then I get to high school and I start rapping in the holy underground hip hop scene in New York. And I'm like I said before, I'm a minister, fools out here and they acting all sinister. Before anything else, I'm at 14 years old and look at my life now, right? And so then later on talking about, peace and love, and in Germany and in Finland and in Europe, reminding people of peace and love and community and communalism, even when I had translators that were there, making sure my words were going forth and reaching the people. So there are some universal languages that we've got to remember, some universal love languages, music and words and art and therapy that we got to tap into. And so I think it's now time that we get a little more intimate with one another. We've got to get intimate with one another to know one another deeper than just our names or our pronouns even, but we've got to go there with it. So in the beginning was the word, and so I'm gonna give you these words any chance that I can. So
Thank you, YaNi. I want more of your words. I wish I could follow both of y'all. I will follow both of you. So we have time for one or two more questions. It looks like another reverend on the call. Kurt has got a question. Kurt, the mic is yours.
Oh no, that was just that was a celebration there. I was waving my hands because I was celebrating that woman leader that we are, that we are bound to follow. I mean, I so appreciate Reverend Ben's, voice as a man to say that we, that it's the divine feminine and it is women on the ground in their real lives that actually provide the leadership that we need now. I mean, I am just so down with that. Thank you very much. I thank you all for being here. Yeah.
Thank you, Kurt. Sunshine Michelle, do you have a question?
Well, I can always come up with one. I am just so, I don't even have the words almost. And Ben, I'm just going to publicly say that I would love to invite you to my doctoral dissertation defense this coming Friday, October 9th. You just preached my dissertation, brother. And so, it's all about authentic self-expression. And I've already invited YaNi. So I'm just like, hey. It's about authentic self-expression about within women of color, in particular, U.S. born Black and brown women. And YaNi just spoke to, how do we come to our own sense of power within ourselves, not what we've been taught, but how do we accept who we are and express that out into the world. And I believe, like you, Reverend Ben, that the feminine voice, it's the balance of the feminine, because we've been so off balance with, so much of the masculine. It takes both. It's the yin and the yang. So I really do, please look for my email, because I'm going to get it and invite you and hope you're available for the virtual defense. My question to you in particular, Ben, is, as you talked about, which I so love, and you role modeling, I put in the chat, listening to a woman who is suggesting to you that, you need a different approach, that you're missing some of it. And what I heard you say is that you got defensive, but you reckoned with that and then you followed. What are some practical tips to have other masculine identified folks to be able to do that?
Yeah, so the way that I've been finding it, and I'm just going to, I had to keep it all the way solid, because I do a lot of training around race, right? And so what I've had to do is take some of the same medicine I've said to white folks around interacting with Black folks to challenge some of my maleness and my cisgender kind of norms around maleness and masculinity to think differently. And so to me, some of those tips have been in those moments where you feel defensive, taking an opportunity to try to turn to wonder. To try to get curious around why is what is being said. I was taught that, in my insecurity to respond to that anxiety with protection. But I've been trying to teach myself, and I don't get it right all the time, y'all, keeping it all the way solid, but to try to turn to curiosity, to just take a step back to ask myself, I wonder why. I wonder what's behind that, and to try to find a question rather than to find a defensive phrase. And so a question for me has just been, and I just hold this in my little mental satchel. Can you say a little bit more about that? And just holding that when I get defensive and just learning to ask the person, can you say a little more about that? Actually create some space for me to catch my breath, right? Get a little oxygen and open up my ears instead of trying to find something to say with my mouth. And oftentimes they will begin to expound. And what I found is I'll just keep asking them until I feel like I can be present to hear I just continue asking, can you say a little bit more? Or can you unpack that for me a little bit more, and turn myself into a student rather than trying to take up space as a speaker, and just holding that balance that we all have something to contribute, but we also have something to receive. Those have been a couple tips that have helped me.
That's beautiful. Thanks so much. And Shireen, maybe I see Cheryl raised her hand. Maybe that can be our last question. Cheryl, maybe you can squeeze this in here. You may have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I've been listening, and I have been following the McBrides. So assalamu alaikum. I want to say this, and I want to say it in a way that I hope that my words are being heard. So I beg your patience for just a minute. You know, as a Black, brown woman, Muslim woman with disabilities, I think I understand intersectionality very well. As a mother of 3, 2 sons and a daughter, and a wife, I find it a little difficult to ask people to understand vulnerability, but also to give up their total masculinity or their total femininity when we have these mixed messages that we're sending. Yesterday on Saturday Night Live, everyone was heralding Meg Thee Stallion for what she did when she was saying, protect our women, protect our men. The famous quote by Malcolm X about Black women are the most unprotected people on the earth. And we ask our men to protect us. So what does that mean? I'm not telling you the answer. I'm asking a very rhetorical question. I live in a household with my husband and my 2 20-year-old sons and my 18-year-old daughter. And I don't need necessarily, I'm strong enough to protect, so-called protect myself. But there's a certain stability and there's a certain solace that I get because I know that no matter what happens in my life, that my husband and my 2 sons will never let anything happen to me or my daughters, ever. I have watched them throughout their life, from the time they were little boys, stand up for their sister. I have watched them when they were 7 and 5 years old. When someone says something to me, their mother, that they thought was out of line, they stand up to a grown man. There was nothing toxic about the masculinity in that. It's just something their father taught them. Don't you ever let anyone say anything to your mother out of line. Don't you ever let anyone step to your sister out of line. So I think that there's a line that we must teach our sons and our daughters. My daughter has never let anyone, male or female, say anything out of line to me. I think that sometimes in our efforts to be so politically correct that we don't teach our children what the Bible, the Torah, the Quran says about this respect that is needed for our elders, for our parents, for our siblings, for ourselves. Today, this day, almost 5 decades of living, I will never let anyone say anything out of line to my mother, to my siblings, to my elders, whether they have my blood or not. And I think sometimes we miss that in all of this dialogue. I would like to hear us talk about this. This is why the greater community does not look at us as Black people, as Latino people, as Indigenous people with that same respect. We spend so much time melding us into one piece, asking for civil rights instead of asking for equity as human beings, equity in humanity. I would like us to start looking at just civil, because we deserve that on his face.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. There's so many contours and depths of power and insight in your sharing. I want to see if Ben, if you want to respond.
Yeah, I mean, I want to sit with it a little bit more, actually, and yeah, not have a quick answer. So no, thank you for the words, and I actually want to sit with it.
Thank you, Cheryl. I also just want to honor the complexity and challenge. You invite in so many nuanced questions around how do we set really clear boundaries when we're being bombarded with excruciating behaviors, comments, structures that are literally killing Black and brown bodies. How do we go beyond civil rights? What does meaningful reparations and repair look like given our unbelievable oppressive history? There's so much complexity in what you share, and given the depth of intersections of your identities and experiences, as we have been guided today, your voice and insights, I think all of us will be simmering with in the wake of our time together. So as we move toward a close, and I think we might go a few minutes over, I just want to give folks a heads up. I'm going to pass it to Sunshine Michelle to introduce our beloved Thrive Choir member, and then we'll close out with a few announcements. I want to thank you, Ben and YaNi, for your soulful words, presence, insight, inspiration, and want to call us all to bring on the heat in this next month, to organize the truth, to give our words and heart to the world that is emerging, that our hearts are longing for and know is possible, and to really create the story of this moment. And in Valerie Kaur's words that Ben brought forth as being, we are in the darkness of the womb, so may we come together to midwife the next chapter. Sunshine Michelle.
I too add my thanks to Reverend Ben and Reverend YaNi. I am just so honored to be in your presence today for what we have combusted here that will carry forth. And want to thank everybody else for coming today, that Ben and YaNi stay connected with Thrive. You speak so lovingly about us as family, and we certainly love you too. And I know Duncan has put and may put again into the chat ways that you can stay connected with both Ben and YaNi's work. Check out YaNi's awesome video that she previewed with us today. And Thrive is on the move doing some fabulous things, especially during these times. We have a series called Medicine for These Times that I know some of you are very cued into. And we have one coming up on Wednesday at 5 o'clock that we've been doing on a regular for the last month or so, that are led by Mutima, Kurt, and Arya, called The Spiral of Resistance, Sitting in the Fire of Emotion. Some of you know about the work that reconnects, and so please join that. You can check out our offerings at thriveeastbay.org. We also have coming up this Thursday, we have another initiative giving our election that's coming up, Get Out the Vote, Thrive Get Out the Vote night. So sign up online to become a part of that, sign up to become a Thrive member. We're doing some really awesome things. That's why I'm a part of this beloved community that I love so much. And so thank you again, Ben and YaNi and Joyous earlier, and Duncan and Shireen and Kaitlin June, whom I'm about to introduce. Joyous and Kaitlin are a part of our awesome Thrive Choir, whom most of you know and follow, and please do. They just had a video release that is so wonderful, and they're working on an EP that's going to be released soon. So they're coming out with some good things. So we're going to give Kaitlin June the last word. I will probably have you come off mute after that, just so that we can part ways audibly. And for now, though, I'm going to pass it on to Kaitlin June for what I hear is something new, right, sister?
Something new, darling. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much. What a blessing. Let's all receive a few deep breaths together. So in through your nose, not with a big sigh. Give yourself a wiggle, just letting all of the goodness that we got to experience here today really settle into our bones, settle into ourselves, and arriving in a place to receive this song. Let's do 2 more breaths like that. In from the nose, out with a sigh. Feeling yourself be even more present, even more available for this moment. And one last time, here we go. In through the nose and out with a sigh. So this song is hot off the press. I started hearing it a couple of months ago, and last night when I knew I was going to be coming on here with you beautiful people today, it finished itself. So it's called We're Unstoppable, and I'm really wanting it to have a life of its own for election season. And what I encourage is for you all to sing along in your space. So everyone else will be on mute, but that means you can really go to town. That means you can belt it, you can shout it from the rooftops, and I encourage that. So during the chorus, there's a call and response moment. So I'm gonna say, we're unstoppable, and I want you to say, echo back the same thing. We're unstoppable, and then I jazz it up. We're unstoppable. You do the same thing. We're unstoppable. Then the last one is, we're unstoppable. Do that run. We're unstoppable. Have fun with it. And then we all say together, let's gather around while it's burning down. Try it. Let's gather around while it's burning down. Okay, so when the chorus comes, you'll know, and we're gonna do that together. But we'll get into it with the verses. So just remember, we are unstoppable. All right, here it goes. No point in trying to hold us down. We got our heads lifted high in the crowd. We came to sing and shout. No time to waste, the moment's now. 'Cause we're unstoppable, we're unstoppable, we're unstoppable, unstoppable, we're unstoppable. Let's gather around while it's burning down. We're unstoppable, we're unstoppable, yeah, we're unstoppable. Let's gather around while it's burning down. Let's gather around while it's burning down. You think we're running 'cause we're scared. Got it all wrong. We're running 'cause we're prepared. Straight into the rising sun, where a brand new day has just begun. 'Cause we're unstoppable, we're unstoppable, we're unstoppable. Let's gather around while it's burning down. We're unstoppable, we're unstoppable, yeah, we're unstoppable. Let's gather around while it's burning down. We're unstoppable, we're unstoppable, we're unstoppable. Let's gather around while it's burning down. Let's gather around while it's burning down. Let's gather around while it's burning down. Let's gather around while it's burning down.
Woohoo! Now,
We are unstoppable, especially when we're organized.
Yay, yay, yay. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, YaNi. Thanks, Joyous. Thanks, Kaitlin June. Thanks, Shireen. Thanks, Duncan. Thanks, all y'all. We love you. Have a great day and a great week.
Deep gratitude. So many blessings, y'all. May the struggle for love and justice continue. Yes.
Yay.
Love you all.
Yay, yay.
Bye. Yeah, definitely feel free to come off mute, y'all. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Bye, beloved.
Love you all.
Yay. That's
Bye, Mom and Dad. Love y'all.
Until the next adventure.
Yes.
Goodbye and grace and peace.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Everyone.
I'm still singing that song, KJ. Let's gather around while it's burning down. Beautiful.
Yes, it's so hot. I love it. I can't wait to sing it all together.
Yes.
That's the encore.
Yes, this is
encore.
KJ and Joyous gonna let me get a verse on the new one of these days.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
it's so sweet. We have to collaborate. Yes to that.
Please.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Annalise, Ben was talking your language, baby, about the beloved community.
Look now, that's it. The church that I am a pastor of is called Beloved San Diego. So anytime I hear it, I'm like, yep, we're doing the right things.
I was dancing around my living room with my shaker in my hands.
All right.
All those songs and all the ain't nobody gonna turn us around and unstoppable. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I miss busking at the BART stations.
Yeah. This is the after party. Okay.
Hi, Annalise. You're muted. You want to come off? I would love to hear your voice.
Hi.
Hi, beloved.
How's everybody?
I feel so juiced in the wake of that.
I mean, it's like vibrating.
Yes.
Oh,
YaNi, you were so powerful. I just like, my heart is cracked open. I want to support your work in the world. Please let us know how.
That was a bad video. Lord.
Yeah, we got to spread that video through our Thrive network.
Where is it? Where do you get
it's
it?
on YouTube. The link is in the chat. I can find it and repost it. And also for my nonprofit, My Supernatural Life, we're trying to raise some funds to get our buddy system going. We basically have caregivers paired with people that need care for a weekly check-in. We have our workshops rolling out. We even have a little nod to Thrive, where our tenets are Thrive: togetherness, holistic, resources, in-person, virtual, experiential. And so y'all are close to my heart, close to the organization's heart. So My Supernatural Life, we're providing holistic and communal care for folks. And yeah, just, trying to shift the culture, right? In all these different ways, based off of my intersections. So thank you. Thank you.
So good.
Thank you, everybody.
So,
Kaitlin June, that song is bad, girl. I love it.
I'm not connected to Facebook really, and I can't read the chats because I have to turn off my screen reader just to hear the regular audio.
Yeah.
And so just throwing everything in the chat doesn't help me at all. But I would love to get an email with these resources. And YaNi, I would love to connect with you because I design my own jewelry and I work with stones, and I would love to get I have trouble with the Christian pantheon. I'm more polytheistic. And I've been betrayed by the others. So I want to be there.
I understand. I've been betrayed by the church too. So, we're all together, where whatever
you get it.
is, right?
I know you get it.
Community and love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sheila, may I have your email address?
So you have my name, and basically that's
Hi, KJ. I'm gonna let y'all do this exchange, and then we're gonna shut it down.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let me shut this off. 'Cause it's distracting me. Okay. So it's Sheila at Top Gun, but with two N's like my last.